I'm here today with a video about how to re-bleach your regrowth. For those of you that have followed my channel for a while, you'd know I've done many different things with my hair and I have many hair color tutorials on my channel already. But since I've been really blonde, I haven't done a root touch-up video, and I've been getting asked a lot of questions about it and a lot of people wondering how I do it. So this video is going to show you exactly what I do and how I get the best results without getting any yellow banding or anything like that. So before we start, I wanted to let you guys know that I am a qualified hairdresser. Even though I'm no longer hairdressing, I've got about 8 years of experience behind me. So I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to hair color. When you're dealing with bleach on your scalp, it is a lot different than doing the standard kind of tint colors or demi colors. Bleach actually will react differently and your application technique will need to be different as well. The main thing that I want to stress before we start is that you do a skin test. If you've never had an on-scalp bleach before, it can be a little bit uncomfortable, so that's why I really recommend that you guys do a skin test to make sure that you're not going to have any allergic reaction. So basically just mix a little bit of the product, place it onto your skin, like your wrist or your elbow, or even behind your ear is probably preferable because it's closer to your hairline. Leave it on for 10 minutes or so, and then just see if there's any redness, any itchiness, anything like that. So when bleach is on your scalp, it does get a little bit warm, a little bit tingly, but if you feel that it's burning your scalp, that's definitely a reaction and it's definitely a sign that you need to wash it off immediately, okay? So don't just sit there thinking, oh, you know, it's meant to, you know, feel warm, but if it's burning, wash it off straight away. Okay, so I'll give you a few tips and pointers before we get into the tutorial, because all this information is information that you will need to know. As I said, there are 2 different application techniques that you can do, and that actually depends on the amount of regrowth that you have. If you have this amount of regrowth that you see here, that's how much I had, which is roughly about 4 weeks regrowth. It's about 1 centimeter or so. Then you can just do your standard on scalp bleaching technique, which I will show you in the tutorial. But if your regrowth is anything more than that, you're going to need to do a virgin application. When you're bleaching the regrowth, if you apply bleach just all over your regrowth, if you have a fair bit, it's going to create a heat band, which is basically a bright yellow strip in your hair. You may have seen it a few times on other people. So you'll actually need to change your technique to counteract getting that heat band in your hair. Okay, so because I'm a very visual person and I find this easier to explain to you guys, I'll show you quickly just a kind of demo of applying product. So basically I've just drawn a picture. The little black line in the center here is your scalp parting. These 2 lines are your regrowth either side of the part, and then you've got the rest of your blonde hair. So if your regrowth is roughly about this, like 1 centimeter roughly, as I said, you can go straight in and apply the bleach straight onto that. I have a little bit of purple shampoo just to kind of show you guys. So basically what you're going to do is literally apply it onto the scalp. You don't want to overlap it drastically into your already blonde hair, because that's going to cause it to damage. It might even cause it to break off. But you don't want it to not overlap a little bit, because then you're going to end up with a dark line in between. So basically apply it and just very gently overlap it. As you see, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's only very slightly overlapping, but that way it ensures that all the dark hair is coloured. With bleach, what tends to happen is when it heats up, it tends to like absorb further outwards as well. That's why you don't want to go too far into the blonde, because it's going to absorb out anyway. In saying that, you still want to make sure that all the dark hair is covered, just in case it doesn't absorb as much and you're left with kind of orange banding in the hair. So yeah, basically very, very simple way to apply it. As I said, that is if you have 1 centimeter of regrowth or less. Anything more than that, you'll need to change your technique. Okay, another diagram. So this is obviously if they have like 1 inch or so of regrowth. Center part, the rest of the blonde hair is here. I'm sorry, my drawing is really bad. So a virgin application is basically where you apply colour on the outer portion of your regrowth. You leave the regrowth on your scalp until last. So you'd go through your whole hair and apply it from about here out to your regrowth. As I said, just overlapping it that tiny little bit. So just like that, And you do that all throughout your whole hair. And then after you've done that, then you go back through and apply it again, but right on top of the roots. So then it's all covered. So basically the reason why you do that is because, as I said, the bleach kind of absorbs away from your scalp. So you apply it on the outer portions because your scalp is so warm naturally. If you were to apply it directly on your scalp all the way out through your regrowth, the heat is going to remove from the scalp and it's going to end up leaving this kind of dry patch that doesn't have much product on it because it's all kind of flaked away, and that's going to leave a really yellow line in your hair, so like a heat band. So that's why you do it this way, because it's going to prevent you from getting a heat band in your hair. So usually I don't let my regrowth get that big just because a virgin application can be a bit difficult to do on your own and it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So that is why I just do it every month or so, just touch up my regrowth. Okay, so another thing, when you're applying the bleach, it is always best to start on the crown of your head and throughout the back of your hair first before moving around to the front and your hairline, only because the crown and back of your hair tends to be naturally coarser and also is naturally darker than the rest of your hair. So it's always best to have the coarser, darker sections first, because that will give it a little bit more processing time. The product's been on it a little bit longer, so it's going to help give a really nice even result. If you were to apply it around the front first, where your hair, as I said, is finer and a little bit lighter, you'll find that this is going to process so much faster. It's going to be a really nice white blonde, whereas the rest of your hair is still going to be kind of at that yellow orange stage and it's not going to be there yet. So that's why I recommend doing the back of your head first and then moving forwards. With the application, I do like a cobweb kind of formation. So I'll just draw a picture. So I go from the center part here to the nape of the neck. These are ears, by the way, and then go from ear to ear. So you're basically sectioning into 4 quarters. As I said, I start at the back. So what I do is I apply the color on the part, either side of the part, and then either side of the part here. And then I basically do diagonal sections all the way down to the nape of the neck, ensuring that the sections you're taking are quite fine. Especially with working with bleach, it is more of a drier product and you don't want to take a really thick section and end up with kind of your natural colour left in between because the bleach didn't absorb through that layer. So very, very fine sections, I'd say half a centimetre or so. I know it does take a little bit longer, but that's going to ensure that you get a beautiful result at the end. Okay, so the product that I used was Riche Directions. It was actually like a lightning kit, but that is one of the only kind of cruelty-free bleaches that I could find. It's quite difficult to find cruelty-free bleach. Obviously with all bleaches, you always need to read the manufacturer's instructions and directions and always do what it says on the packet. So I'm not going to really tell you what mixing ratio I did because each company is going to have a different mixing ratio. As long as you do follow the instructions, I do highly recommend that you use scales when you're mixing the product. As well, if the mixation is slightly too thick or too runny, you don't want it to be very, very sloppy and you don't want it to be super, super thick either. So if you have followed the mixing instructions and it is still a little bit too thick, you feel, just add a tiny little bit more of the peroxide just to kind of make it a more workable consistency. So for full scalp bleaches, I mean, personally, I feel to get a finished result like this, your natural colour needs to be a 6 or a 7 or higher. Anything lower than a 6, you're going to end up with quite a yellow result, and you're going to either need to use a slightly higher level of peroxide or do 2 bleaching applications. In my personal opinion, I do not like to use anything higher than 20 vol on your scalp. As I said, bleach with 20 vol can give that kind of tingling, warming sensation. Anything higher is going to burn. And I mean, I know there's going to be people out there that say, but I use bleach from 40 vol all the time and it's fine. That is your choice. Personal experience, I'm not going to use it. I would only ever recommend 20 vol, and if you feel that you need more, it is better off to do 2 forehead bleaches, one after the other, with a lower percentage of peroxide. Even though it's going to take more time, it's going to be more gentle on your hair instead of blowing out the pigment and going straight for 30 or 40 vol, because that is going to extremely dry out your scalp. It's going to dry out your hair, and the chances of burning and other damage is a lot higher. So that is just my reasoning behind using 20 volt only. Also, if you do have any kind of scratches, cuts, or even little moles on your scalp, just be extremely careful. I wouldn't recommend doing bleach if you have any open wounds on your scalp because it's going to burn. It's not going to be good at all. But just with moles and things, just be careful because they can be a little bit more susceptible to bleach, and you don't want them to start bleeding, or just keep an eye on them, or even just avoid them if possible. Alright, so for bleaching application, what you will need is all plastic. Everything that you use should be plastic or wood. Do not use any metal at all when you're working with bleach because the metal is going to react with the bleach. What I also like to do, because I'm doing this myself, and because when you're bleaching the back of your hair yourself, it can be extremely difficult to know if you've overlapped too far or if you've got every section. I tend to find that I end up overlapping onto my blonde hair, which, as I said, is not ideal. So what I like to do before bleaching is put some coconut oil into my hair. I rub it all into my scalp and all around the sections of my regrowth, all through the back of my hair, and also around the front of my hair where my hair is that little bit more finer and more susceptible to breakage as well. And basically what that will do is help to nourish those sections of your hair. It's also going to nourish your scalp as well, which is good. But just in case there is any kind of colour overlap, it's going to drastically reduce the chances of your hair breaking. It doesn't affect the bleach at all. I would not do this technique with anything but bleach because it's probably going to seal your cuticle a little bit, whereas bleach is strong enough to cut through this, but while still leaving the moisture in your hair. So yeah, I basically do that all through first. I do it probably half an hour before I colour, and then just kind of let it absorb into my scalp a little bit. Once your bleach has all been applied, ensure that you don't kind of flatten it to your scalp. You want to lift up the sections so there's a little bit of air getting into there. That's just going to reduce any heat or any kind of warming sensations. Also, I don't recommend that you wrap it up in foil or cling wrap or anything. Just kind of let it breathe. When you're applying the bleach as well, it's very important to make sure that you're using a lot of product. As I said, bleach does tend to kind of dry up as you're going, so make sure you're putting enough product on there that it's not going to dry up and you're going to be left at that kind of orange stage. Processing time. Obviously go by the manufacturer's instructions. Every bleach is going to be different, but I do it by look. I'm not going to give you a specific time. Obviously I wouldn't recommend anything greater than an hour because anything more than an hour is just too long. But what I do is I grab a towel comb and basically apply it on my scalp and just scrape some of the colour off, so then it gives you an indication of what the hair colour is actually looking like. Just keep in mind that because the bleach is a light colour, it's going to make it look lighter when it's on. So when you wash it off, it's always going to be very slightly darker than that. With toning, each to their own, what I do is I rinse off all the colour first. I do one shampoo and then I go in with my toner. The toner that I like to use is actually a shampoo. I just find this more gentler than actually using peroxide toners. This is Fudge's Clean Blonde Violet Toning Shampoo, and it works extremely well. I basically apply that all to my roots, like give my hair a little bit of a towel dry first, apply it all, and then just wash it throughout the ends, so it kind of freshens up my overall blonde. I do have a video that is all about banishing yellow tones from your hair, so make sure that you check it out. I'm going to be listing it at the end of this video. It will also be in the description box below. Also, I always take the opportunity when I've done a fresh bleach to do a treatment in my hair. I find it's really important. I actually put the treatment on my scalp as well, which especially after you've bleached your scalp's going to feel a little bit tight, a little bit dry, so it's very important to keep the moisture going back to that area. So yeah, that is how I do my forehead regrowth touch-up. I find that bleaching on scalp is so much easier than doing foils. Foils just take so much time and the result is never as blonde as what this is. So yeah, that is how I do it. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll try my best to kind of answer them for you. Also, definitely check out the description box because I've got a list of all my other social media channels, my Instagram account, well actually my 2 Instagram accounts, my second YouTube, my personal Facebook if you guys want to follow me, and also my email address if you guys have any other questions or anything like that. So yeah, hopefully that has helped. Hopefully you guys feel more confident when you're going to be doing the bleaching yourself. And yeah, I love you all and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!